We'll start in our comfortable seated position. We'll close our eyes. We'll feel those sitting bones rooting down into our mats, in toward the earth. Exhale, pull those shoulders back and down. Breathe deeply into our belly. Feel those ribs expanding, our back opening up behind us. Our spine growing tall. We'll check in with how we're feeling right now. Take note of anything that might need some special attention as we move through our practice today. We'll do our best to let go of any expectations that we have of ourselves and of our practice. Let go of judgment and of competition. And we'll slowly open up our eyes. Inhale, hands come up nice and high, pulling the shoulders down, breathing into the belly. Let's just exhale into a little forward fold here with the crossed legs. Easy round back. Good. On our next inhale, we'll slowly walk those hands backwards, rolling our way back up to seated. Hands come up high. And then exhale, little twist to the right. Hands will come down. Left hand finds the thigh, right hand finds the floor behind us. Good, and slowly we'll come back to the center. Inhale, hands come up high. Exhale, another little forward fold. Dropping the head. Shoulders and arms are soft. Feeling our hip bones pressing in to the ground. And then on our next inhale, walking the hands back again, rolling our way up. Hands come up high. And then exhale, we'll twist to the left. And then slowly coming back to the center. Hands come up high with that inhale. And now let's exhale, tilting over to the left, getting that side body, pressing that right hip into the floor, reaching up and over with the right hand. And then inhaling back up. Exhaling over to the other side. Left hand reaches up and over, pressing that left hip down into the mat. Opening the side body. Good. And back up to the top. And then we'll just bring those hands down. We'll roll over our shins, coming up onto our hands and our knees. Fingers are wide here, underneath of our shoulders. Knees are under our hips. And then exhale, we'll round into a cat pose, lifting our spine up to the sky. And then inhaling to our cow, little arch. Open that heart. Exhaling cat. And inhaling cow. Exhaling, rounding. And inhaling, arching. Moving with our breath. A few more rounds. Good. Let's do one more cat and one more cow, rounding on that exhale and arching on the inhale. Good. And then finding that neutral spine, pressing into the hands, opening up the shoulder blades, tucking the tail ever so slightly, breathing into the belly. Good. Let's tuck those toes underneath of our feet. We'll lift the knees up off of the ground and we'll just slowly press our hips back toward those heels. Open up the back of the arches and the feet, and then we can lift the hips up nice and high into our downward facing dog. We can pedal the knees, wag our tails a little bit, work our way in to the pose. Wake up the backs of our legs. And then find that nice long straight spine, strong shoulders. And then we can begin to press those heels down in towards our mat, lengthening the legs a little bit further. And now let's inhale, coming forward into a plank. Plank can be on our toes or it can be on our knees. Regardless, nice strong tummy here. Good strong shoulders. Exhale, slowly lowering down to our tummies. Hands are underneath of our shoulders here. Pulling back. Inhale. Let's bring that chest forward and lift up into a little cobra. Good. Tucking the toes, pressing into the hands, lifting our hips for downward facing dog. Good. Inhale. Let's come forward into our version of plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale into our little cobra. Tuck those toes, press into the hands, downward facing dog. Good. And now, just going to kind of play with the flexibility and the mobility of our spine, bending the knees in our downward facing dog. Lift the tail nice and high. Press into the hands. Make it a little bit of an arch in our back here. That's totally fine. And now think about starting at the tail end of our spine, beginning to lift up to the sky and moving all along the spine till we get to the shoulders and we come forward into our plank, and then we lower those hips down into a bit of an upward facing dog. Good. And now starting at the top of our spine, lifting in between our shoulders, down our back, lifting the hips all the way up onto our tippy toes. And then we find our downward facing dog. Good. One more time. Tippy toes, lift the tail, begin to move along that whole spine all the way to the shoulders. into our plank briefly, and then lowering the hips, lifting the hearts for upward facing dog. Good. And then in between those shoulders, lifting each little vertebra, beginning to go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, up to our tippy toes. Hips come up high, and then we find that downward facing dog again. Good. Let's look forward, just past our fingers, bending the knees deeply, stepping forward to the top of our mat to a forward fold. We can release the hands, roll around in our wrists, and just hang. And then slowly, deeply bend those knees, rolling our way up. Hands come up above our heads, reaching high, and then exhale. Hands come down to our sides for Tadasana. Take a breath here. And then inhale, hands come up high. Exhale, little back bend. Hands come back. Hips come forward. Inhale, nice and high. And now exhale, let's bring those knees and thighs together. Big circles with the arms, sitting down into our chair. Good, inhaling up. Let's exhale, hinging at the hips, swan diving down to our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we fold. And we'll step back with our left leg for a lunge. Sinking the hips down, lengthening in that back leg. Beginning to feel those hips opening up. Good, we'll keep that left hand on the floor, right hand comes up. And exhaling down. Good, inhale, let's bring those hands up to the sky, high lunge. Good, another twist here, taking that right hand back, left hand comes forward, sinking down into that lunge, lengthening that back leg, shoulders are still over the hips. And back up to the top. Exhale, hands come down, stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhaling forward to our plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, we can do a cobra or to an upward facing dog. Tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back, downward facing dog. Bending the knees, looking forward, stepping or jumping to the top of our mat for a forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we fold. Inhaling, rolling our way up. Hands are high. Exhale, little back bend. Really think about opening up this low back. As we bring the shoulders back, inhaling up. Exhale, hands come around in sitting down into our chair. Inhaling up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale to our flat back. Long legs, pull those shoulders back. Exhale, let's fold forward, stepping back with our right leg for our lunge. Wiggle our way into that lunge. Good. First little twist here, lifting the left hand. And exhaling down, finding that balance when we're ready. Inhale, high lunge. Good. Exhale, a little bit bigger twist here, turning toward the left. Left hand goes back, right hand forward, sinking down into that lunge, lifting the heart, dropping the shoulders. Inhaling, high lunge. Exhale, hands come down. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Flowing through our vinyasa, inhaling forward for our plank. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips, pressing back, downward facing dog. Good, looking forward, bending the knees. Let's step forward to the top of our mat for a fold. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we fold. Bending the knees, rounding as we roll our way up to the top. Exhale, Tadasana. Hands come down to our sides. Take a breath here. Good. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, cactus arms, opening up that heart. Good. Inhaling. Exhale, let's bring those hands back behind us for a chest expansion. Pulling the shoulders back, lifting the heart. Good. Gently releasing the hands. Inhaling, hands come up. Exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we fold. Let's step back with that left foot for our lunge. Good. Inhale, high lunge. Good. Exhale. Hands come back down. We're going to turn our right toes out to the right. Bring our left hip down to the mat. Little twisty here. A little hip work. Good. And then coming back to our lunge. Good. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhale, coming forward for our plank. Good. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Tucking the toes, downward facing dog. Good. Lifting that right leg up. Bringing the knee in, stepping forward into our lunge. Good. From here, inhale, we're going to come up to our high lunge. And then turn to the left for star pose. Nice wide legs, open heart. Good. Hands come to our hearts into a prayer position, bending that left knee, sitting down into a side lunge. Good. Inhaling up. Turning those right toes and bending that right knee, warrior two. Good. Lengthening that right leg, shifting the hips back behind us, reaching forward with those right fingers, opening up all along those inside ribs until we can't reach anymore, and then we lower the arm, raise the left. Keep pulling the hips back, spiraling those thighs, triangle pose. Good. Slowly, we'll bend that right knee. Hands come back down to the mat. Stepping forward into our fold. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. See if we can fold a little bit deeper after we lengthen in that back. And then we bend the knees, roll our way up. Nice and high. Good. Exhale, little back bend. Think about lifting the heart up to the sky. And then slowly curving ourselves back. Good. Inhaling up. Bringing those arms back behind us for a chest expansion. Pulling those shoulders back, opening the chest. Breathing into the belly. Good. Gently releasing the hands, coming up high. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, we fold. Step back with the right foot. Good. Then from here, coming on up, high lunge. Exhale, let's lower the hands down. Right hand is going to stay on the floor, turning those left toes out to the left, lowering that right hip all the way down to our mat's long right leg. And then slowly coming back. Good. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhaling forward. Exhaling down. Inhale, scooping our way into our back bend of choice. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips, pressing back, downward facing dog. Lifting that left leg up high behind us. And then slowly stepping forward. Good. Inhale, all the way up high, and then out to the side for star pose. I'm going to turn around so you're not looking at the back. Good. Hands come to our hearts, bending that right knee, sitting down into that side lunge. Lifting the heart as best we can. Inhaling up. Good. Pointing those left toes out in front of us. Warrior two. Good. Lengthening that left leg, shifting the hips. Sasana all the way back behind us, reaching forward with the fingers on the left side. And then slowly settling in to our triangle. Pressing into both feet, stacking our shoulders, lifting from the pelvic floor as we lower those shoulders just a little bit. Good, and then gently let's bend that left knee. Hands come down to our mats. Beautiful. And then we'll step forward into our fold. Let's bend our knees so that our hands find our mats. All the way down. And then what we'll do is we'll take our peace fingers in between our first and second toes. Using that grip onto that big toe, we'll begin to pull the chest down and lift our tail to begin to lengthen in our legs. Good, and then gently we'll begin to bend those knees, Release the hands, slowly rolling our way up. Hands come up high. Exhale, let's bring those buddies down to our hearts, pressing firmly into our palms, pulling the shoulders back. Bring those knees and thighs together, sitting down into our chair. Breathe into the belly. We should feel a good activation all around in our torso. Good, and now inhale, let's stand up. We'll lift the right leg. And we'll cross that ankle over the left knee. And then again, sitting down into our chair. Good. Inhale, lifting up, bring that right knee into our chest, and then stepping all the way back for a high lunge. Beautiful. Turning to the right, opening up, star pose. Feet are wide. Exhale, let's hinge at the hips for a wide-legged forward fold. Good. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. Let's make a nice flat back here. Hips are in the same plane as our heels, so don't make sure that we're not leaning too far backwards for this fold. If we need to gently bend the knees, absolutely we do so. From here, hands are underneath of our shoulders. Shoulders are active. Let's keep that right hand on the floor. Lift up the left. And then back down to the floor with that left hand. And then we'll lift up the right. And slowly lower that down. Good. And then we'll just release the head into that fold again. Good. From here, hands come back underneath of our shoulders. We'll point those left toes toward the top of our mat, and we'll just walk our way around into a lunge. Hands can stay to the inside of that left foot. Good. Let's step back all the way to three-legged dog. Good. Bringing that knee into our chest, stepping forward all the way back to that lunge. Good. Stepping forward with the right into a fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, we fold. Inhaling, rolling our way up to the top. Good. Bringing those hands together, lowering them down to our hearts, sitting down into our chair. Strong tummy here. Inhale, standing up tall. Good. Let's lift up the left knee. And now we'll cross that buddy over the right. And then again, sitting down into our chair. And then slowly we'll come back up, bring that knee into our chest. Beautiful, stepping all the way back to our high lunge. Excellent job. And then hands come up high, turning to the left. star pose here. Good. Exhale. Wide-legged forward fold. Good. Keeping our fold nice and deep. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. Let's walk our hands over to our right foot. We'll keep the left hand on that right foot, and we'll raise up the right hand to the sky. And then slowly lower that hand back down, walking to the center. We can take a breath here. And then when we're ready, walking over to that left foot. Right hand can stay on the foot, left hand can come up to the sky. Good, lowering both hands back down to the center. Let's lengthen in the spine. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. Exhale, let's deepen that fold just a little bit. And then we'll start to walk our hands around toward the top of our mat. Hands can stay to the inside of that right foot. Good. Stepping all the way back, three-legged dog. Good. And then we'll step in between our hands. And then we'll step with that left leg into our fold. Inhale. Slowly we roll our way up. Good. Hands will come back down to our hearts, pressing into those palms. And then we'll just heel toe, bring those feet out just a little bit wider than our feet or our hips. Toes are pointing out to the corners of the room, and we can sit down real low into a malasana squat. Utilizing our breath, let the hips relax. Feel the back begin to decompress. Maybe move our head around, make sure we're getting rid of the tension in our shoulders. Good, and then our hands can find our mats, can creepy crawl the fingers forward, lowering the knees down. Then we can find ourselves into a child's pose. So knees can be nice and wide, or they can come in close. Heels are together, hips come all the way back towards those heels. Chest is low. Arms are out in front of us. Good, and now let's swish those feet over to one side so we can lower our butt down to our mats. We'll swing the legs out in front of us. And we'll extend that left leg nice and long out in front. We'll lower the right knee and place the foot to the inside of the thigh for Janu Shirshasana, pointing the left toes up to the sky. Let's turn toward that left leg. Make sure our hips are still pointing out in front of us, and we'll slowly just walk our way down for a little fold. Again, we're not trying to break any records with this fold, so use your breath. Hands can just hang out on the floor or just wiggle the fingers down the leg. Good. And now from here, our right hand is going to touch the outside of the leg, whether it be the knee or the shin, or maybe we can get the outside of that foot. And then the left hand, we can even wiggle the fingers, or we can just begin to reach back behind, place it behind our bum, beginning to turn the shoulders to the left. Keep folding. Keep breathing. Good. And then slowly we'll come back to the center and help ourselves up to the top. We're going to take this left leg. We're just going to tuck it back behind us. Notice the right leg is still just kind of bent out in the front. Begin to turn that calf so that it's moving away from the thigh, pressing that left knee into the mat. And we're just going to bring the hands back behind our hips and walk our way down. Think about lengthening all along in this left quad. And then inhale, we'll come back up. Good. We'll unwind that left leg. Both feet come out in front of us. We have a choice here. We're going to start in staff. Hands are underneath of our shoulders, behind our, or by our hips, or just maybe just behind our hips. Pulling the shoulders back, lifting the heart, pressing into those hands. Now we can bend the knees and place our feet on the ground to do reverse tabletop. Or if we would like to challenge ourselves, because nobody's watching, we're on line, we can press into those heels and feet and begin to lift up into reverse plank. Let's do one more breath here. Exhale, lower down. Whew. Good. Let's bring those arms around. Give ourselves a hug. And then we can release the arms, shake them out if we would like. We'll move on to Janu Shirshasana on the other side. So we'll tuck that left foot in toward the right leg. Right leg is long, toes are pointed up to the sky. We'll turn ourselves so that we're faced that right leg, and exhale, begin to fold. And now we're going to stay folded here. Left hand will touch the outside of that right leg in some spot or another. And then the right hand will begin to come back behind us, turning the shoulders, looking over that right shoulder. And now let's slowly come back. Help ourselves up. Now we'll tuck that right foot back by our butt. Hands can find the floor behind us. And we'll slowly lower ourselves back. Good. And coming on up. We'll unwind. Shake those legs out if we would like. Finding our staff pose one more time. Hands come back behind us, pointing our fingers towards our feet, though, pulling the shoulders back, lifting the heart, pressing into those legs. If we're doing reverse plank, think about trying to squeeze those legs together. That's very, very difficult. But it's good for us. Lifting up into our reverse plank or into our reverse tabletop. See if we can do one more breath here. Exhale, let's lower those bums down. Whew. We'll bend the knees. We'll roll up into our little ball. Even hug our knees. Good, and now let's rock back onto our backs. Find our little egg. Good, and now from here, we're going to take our left leg, cross it underneath that right leg. We're going to try and do our best to cross knee to knee. Here, a little ladylike. Bring the heels down. Find our ankles with our hands, or we can hold our heels or our toes, and slowly just bring our shoulders back down toward the mat, which will help bring those feet towards us. Think about pressing our tail in toward the mat. We can relax the shoulders. And then we'll gently release those feet, unwind the legs, wiggle them out if we would like. And then we'll cross right leg underneath the left. Think about that tailbone coming down toward the mat. Relaxing the shoulders, the head. Just gently helping those legs in towards us. Good, and then we'll release those legs and bring both legs up to the sky and work around in those ankles, touching behind the calf or the knee. We can gently bring those legs in towards us. And now let's bend the knees, roll up into our little egg. One more deep inhale here. And then exhale, let's release those legs and our arms and our head. And we'll find our way into our Shavasana for today. We close our eyes. We soften in our jaw, throughout our whole body. We allow our mind to wander. And we give ourselves this permission to just be still, to not expect anything from us. And we'll deepen our breath. Begin to wiggle our fingers and our toes. And listen to our body. Give it what it needs right now. It would be a little wiggle or a twist or a stretch or a yawn. And when we're ready, we'll roll up into our ball. We'll rock on over to one side. We'll slowly help ourselves up to seated. Check in with how we're feeling after our practice today. We'll inhale, lifting our hands up to the sky, bringing them together at the top, and then exhaling them down to our hearts with a purpose. We give ourselves thanks for all of the gifts that we just gave us. Let's hold on to those gifts of length and strength, of openness and of peace. Carry those through the rest of our day, and reminding ourselves that if for some reason things are just a little bit haywire, we can always take a small shavasana to reset. I thank you so, so much for joining me today, for allowing me to help you through your practice, and I hope that you feel even just a little bit better than when we started. The light in the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.